Alright, so today I want to show you what I consider to be one of the best two gene combinations when it comes to two dark genes in a single snake, and that's the combination of the leopard and the blackhead. There's actually about 100 leopard blackhead combinations over on Morph Market, and it's pretty amazing when you work other genes into the leopard blackhead, some of the amazing combinations that you can make. And the leopard is a dark gene, and it really kind of scrambles up the pattern, especially when you mix it into other combinations. The leopard's pretty much considered to be a pattern enhancing gene as well as a dark gene, and the blackhead is pretty much what I consider to be the darkest of all the dark genes in ball pythons. And when you actually take the leopard and work it in with the blackhead, essentially what you get is you get a really super dark snake that has a really jumbled up pattern. As a matter of fact, the blackhead seems to really reduce the pattern from the leopard, and it really reduces, you get kind of a reduced jumbled up pattern, and probably 9 times out of 10 you actually get a striped snake with a really strong stripe right down the back of the snake, which is a pretty awesome combination. So today I want to jump over the internet and I want to show you the amazing potential of the leopard blackhead combination. Alright, so I'm going to jump over here on morphmarket.com and I want to start with the individual genes, the leopard and the blackhead, so you can see what the standalone gene looks like. And then I want to show you the combination of the leopard and the blackhead, and then I want to show you working other genes into the combination so you can see the true potential of what the leopard blackhead can do in combinations. And the first one I want to start with is this snake right here. This is what a leopard looks like, and the leopards can be pretty variable from one leopard to another, and usually you can definitely tell you have a leopard by the really jet black background. The leopard's a pretty dark gene, almost as dark as the blackhead in a lot of your combinations. And the leopard's considered to be a really strong pattern enhancing gene. And as a matter of fact, if you actually look at this one, you can see it kind of gets away from the Roswell gray alien heads that you'll see kind of on your normal ball pythons. You really won't see those in the leopard. And I've actually seen in some leopards, just the standalone gene, you'll actually have really strong, kind of a scrambled up streaking pattern along the side of the snake, and kind of your extreme version of the leopard. And I consider the leopard to be pretty much the king of combinations when it comes to co-dominant genes. It's a pretty amazing gene and works well with just about any other gene in ball pythons. So here is the blackhead. The blackhead is definitely the darkest of the darks genes in ball pythons. And the blackhead can be a little bit tricky because if you actually look just at the blackhead by itself as a standalone gene, a lot of times it can look almost like a really dark normal. It kind of has the same, almost these little Roswell gray alien heads on the side of the snake like right here, and pretty much the same color as far as the color of the pattern on the side. But you can definitely tell you have a blackhead from the really jet black background on the background of the snake, and usually it has a really jet black top of the head too. I think that's why they call it the blackhead, because it has a really dark black head on the snake. And it's kind of interesting, I actually produced some really dark hatchlings here in my collection, and I was kind of showing them off in some of my videos on YouTube, and a lot of people were actually chiming in the comments and they were like, hey, is that actually a normal, or could that possibly be a blackhead? Because some of your dark normals can look really similar to a blackhead, which is pretty interesting. But if you actually work blackhead into combinations, let me tell you, you definitely can tell you have blackhead in combinations. It has a really strong effect as far as darkening a lot of your combinations. So this is what happens if you actually take the leopard, breed it to a blackhead. 25% of the time you'll end up with a leopard blackhead. And take a look at this crazy snake. This was pretty unexpected when I first saw this. The thing that really kind of surprised me in this combination is how reduced the pattern was as far as the blackhead reducing the pattern of the leopard. So usually with the leopard you'll actually see kind of a scrambled up pattern, sometimes some streaking on the side, but you'll actually never really see it as reduced as this. So it's kind of interesting how much the blackhead reduces the pattern of the leopard. And kind of the other thing that was really impressive in this combination is how dark the background is look at, it's almost like an inkjet black background working two dark genes into a single snake. It's pretty awesome. And if you actually look at this one too, you actually see a really strong stripe right down the top of the snake. You'll see that in most of your leopard blackhead combinations. This one, it actually goes all the way to the top of the head. Sometimes it'll actually go maybe over like the bottom 2/3 of the snake, but in some combinations it'll be really strong all the way up to the head. So here is the pastel, and the pastel is considered to be a yellow gene. When most people think of pastel, they think of yellow, although you can actually work pastel into like the cinnamon or the super cinnamon, working pastel or super pastel into the cinnamon or super cinnamon. Sometimes you can actually get some silver colored snake, which is pretty awesome. It completely eliminates the pastel. And you can actually work pastel into axanthics, like pastel and fire. The combination of those two and a lot of your axanthics really brighten the white background of axanthics, and it really cleans up the pattern. You can make some of the best looking axanthics where you don't really see the yellow color, but it really enhances a lot of your axanthics. So sometimes you'll actually see some yellow coming out, and sometimes it'll work completely opposite, where it'll affect genes in a different way. So here's what happens if you take the pastel and you work it into the leopard blackhead. Take a look at this crazy combination. I'd say this is probably one of the best dark genes that I've ever seen over here on Morph Market. And pretty much the ideal dark combination, as far as I'm considered, is where you'd actually have a really dark background with a really bright gene on top of that to have a really high contrast between the darks and the lights. That is a pretty amazing combination. As a matter of fact, you could probably improve this if you added like Yellow Belly or Orange Dream. I bet you could really make that yellow really pop in this combination. That is a pretty amazing. Of course, if you started adding more genes, so we're already up to 3 genes in this combination, the leopard, the blackhead, and the pastel. So if you actually start adding more genes, the odds of hitting that go up significantly, and it's harder to actually hit that. So here is the lesser. The lesser is actually in the blue-eyed leucistic, and a lot of times when you work lesser in with leopard, you'll actually get a striped snake in a lot of cases. That's pretty much the number one thing of when I think of a striped snake. It's the combination of the lesser and the leopard. And kind of the interesting thing too is I always thought, you know, to make a striped snake, you add lesser to leopard, but if you actually look kind of at the numbers of the number of striped snake with those two combinations, it seems like you get about 50% of the time you'll actually get a striped snake, where if you actually take the lesser and you work it in with or the leopard and the blackhead, you get like 9 out of 10 will have really strong striping in that combination. So let me tell you, I can almost guarantee that anytime you work lesser, leopard, and blackhead together, you'll probably almost 100% of the time you're guaranteed to get really strong striping on your combination. So here's what happens if you take lesser and work it into the leopard blackhead. Take a look at this. You definitely see the really strong striping from the combination of all the genes coming together, the lesser, the leopard and the blackhead. Both of those make a really strong striped snake. And kind of the interesting thing on this one is it almost turns the pattern on the side into this electric pattern, which is kind of a crazy combination. And you can definitely see in this case that the lesser, a lot of times the lesser will actually brighten a lot of combinations. You can actually see it kind of takes away from some of the darks and it lightens it a little bit, and it's kind of interesting working all these genes together. It's still a pretty amazing combination, and I haven't really looked at the prices on these. This one actually sold for $900. So this is the combination of the blackhead, the lesser, the pastel, and the leopard. So this also has pastel in it, which would tend to brighten it a little bit more. That's probably what's taken away from some of the dark. Still pretty dark and still a pretty amazing combination. So here is the Ultramel. The Ultramel is one of the projects I almost got into. As a matter of fact, one of my very first reptile shows that I went to, I actually had an Ultramel in my hand and I was debating, should I buy this Ultramel or not? And I ended up not buying it. One of the projects that I'd be interested in getting into, although there's so many projects, you can't get into all the projects, which is pretty amazing. And keep in mind, the Ultramel is a recessive mutation, so it's a little bit trickier. Essentially what you'd have to do do is you'd have to take the Leopard Blackhead and breed it to an ultra male, and then you'd have to hold back the Leopard Blackhead het ultra males and then breed them back to either a visual ultra male or a het ultra male to make the combination. So it's a little bit trickier to work those two genes into a recessive. But here's what happens if you actually hit it and work those two dark genes into the ultra male. Take a look at this. This is a pretty amazing combination. Pretty unexpected that it actually turns the ultra male kind of this orange color and really darkens the background. One of the best combinations that I've seen with this combination, working it into ultra male. So here's the last one I wanted to show you, and that is the lavender albino. It's kind of interesting with the lavender albino or any other type of albino. When you work dark genes into the albino, essentially what it does is, in most cases, you'll actually keep the pretty much the same color, and then you'll really decrease the amount of yellow and increase the amount of white in your combination. So you get a high white albino working almost any dark gene into an albino. And especially with this one, if you actually work two dark genes into the lavender albino, this is what you get. Take a look at this. This is one of the craziest snakes I've ever seen. This is the Blackhead Leopard Lavender Albino. Look at that crazy snake. How much white is on this snake. Probably one of the highest white albinos that I've seen. And you can actually see in this one, even in the albino, you actually see really strong striping on the top of the snake, which is pretty interesting. And keep in mind that the lavender albino actually starts out as kind of this really bright white background, and as it ages and matures, the white turns into a lavender color. And you can pretty much do the same thing, I can almost guarantee it, with just a regular albino, where it would really keep the background a really bright white as it aged and matured. And kind of the other thing I've noticed about a lot of your albinos working some of your dark genes into the albinos, it seems like in a lot of cases it'll actually take the yellow color and turn it more of an orange color. You can definitely see in this one, both of the dark genes have really turned the yellow into an orange, high white lavender albino. That is a pretty amazing combination. All right, so what is time for the question of the day? And Jockey Bedard asks, how soon can you breed a snake after bringing it home, assuming it's of breeding size? And that is a very good question. So pretty much the soonest that I've bred a snake, as soon as I got it in the mail, is after just 1 week, which is kind of crazy. I'd probably suggest waiting a little bit longer, but I actually did that with Bobby, the snake that I have around my neck here. This is a bamboo ball python. And kind of the interesting thing with Bobby is I actually found a local breeder who is getting out of the ball python business and selling his whole collection. So I decided to buy all of his females, adult size females, and I think I had like 8 or 9 females, and I was looking for a male. So I actually found Bobby here over on morphmarket.com, a full-size breeder male that was a proven male. It's pretty awesome. He's actually about 1,100 or 1,200 grams or something like that, and I got him in, and I knew the season was kind of ticking away. I was actually looking for something to breed right away, and as soon as I got him, I actually bred him to almost all of those females, which is kind of crazy. And he produced a whole bunch of bamboos too. He's a really good breeder for me. So I'd say you could pretty much do it within the first week, although I'd probably recommend waiting a little bit depending on the timing of your breeding season. If you can wait like a month or two, I'd probably wait to kind of settle them in before I'd start pairing them up. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.